Before the legend, before the moonwalk, before the world crowned him the king of pop, Michael Jackson lived a life far darker than the spotlight ever revealed. Behind every ovation, a storm was building, one that would consume him in ways no one around him dared to stop. And his final days exposed a truth the world was never meant to see. Because to understand Michael Jackson's downfall, you must first understand what made him unstoppable. The prodigy built under pressure. Michael Joseph Jackson wasn't born famous. He was sculpted, shaped by discipline, fear, and a family machine that demanded perfection long before he ever understood what childhood meant. At just 5 years old, he stepped into a world where applause mattered more than emotions, where rehearsals replaced playtime, where mistakes were unacceptable. Joseph Jackson, his father, wasn't just strict, he was relentless. If Michael missed a beat, they restarted. If his voice cracked, they rehearsed it again. If he cried, the cameras never saw it. On stage, he sparkled. Off stage, he learned a brutal truth. Love came from performance. Worth came from perfection. Millions adored the boy with the angelic voice. But only Michael knew the fear, the exhaustion, the constant pressure burning behind the curtain. And while the world saw a prodigy, it never saw what this pressure was building toward. Because the pressure that created a legend would one day create a tragedy. The rise to the throne. As Michael grew, the world had never seen anything like him. Off the Wall made him a star, but Thriller made him immortal. Every stage he touched became iconic. Every movement, a cultural earthquake. Every album broke records no one thought possible. He wasn't competing with other artists, he was competing with himself. But this level of genius came with consequences. Michael could no longer go outside without chaos erupting. Crowds swarmed him. Paparazzi hunted him. The pressure to outdo his last success became suffocating. People didn't speak to Michael Jackson the man. They worshipped the idea of him. And the more the world demanded answers from the king of pop, the deeper he sank into isolation. Because while the world celebrated the icon, Michael was silently losing the human beneath the crown. The obsession with appearance. Michael's battle with self-image wasn't vanity, it was survival. Every inch of his face was scrutinized. Every photo mocked. Every rumor magnified. His skin condition, vitiligo, became tabloid fuel. His surgeries became punchlines. His appearance became a global debate. But behind the headlines was a deeper truth. Michael was desperately trying to escape the reflection of a childhood carved in trauma. The nose, the chin, the makeup. They weren't attempts to become someone else. They were attempts to run from who he once was. Behind the mirror was a fear he never escaped, the fear of disappearing, the genius of movement. To understand Michael, you must understand his body. The moonwalk wasn't just a dance. It was a declaration, a message to the world. I can glide past anything. The spins were hypnotic. The lean defied physics. The choreography was military-level precision wrapped in magic. Each performance was a war between pain and perfection. Michael rehearsed until his feet bled. He trained until exhaustion blurred reality. He wanted every second on stage to feel supernatural. But the body that once defied gravity began to fall apart. Years of punishment created chronic pain, and the painkillers meant to help him perform became a quiet, deadly companion. Because what made him superhuman was slowly destroying him from the inside. The price of fame. At the height of his career, Michael didn't sleep. He barely ate. And everywhere he went, the world demanded more. Then came the lawsuits, the allegations, the headlines that transformed him from idol to target. He was chased, judged, examined, and attacked by the media machine he once relied on. Trust became impossible. Friends faded away. His circle shrank to people who needed him financially, professionally, more than they cared for him. Michael wasn't just lonely. He was isolated at a level only megastars understand. But Michael's greatest enemy was the silence of those who watched him fall without lifting a hand. If you're still here, stay with me. Because what happened in Michael's final days is darker and more tragic than anything you've heard before. And once you see the truth, you'll never look at him the same again. The work ethic that destroyed him. Michael didn't work hard, he worked obsessively. He rehearsed until dawn, perfected every step, controlled every sound, pushed his mind and body past their limits. His team described him as unstoppable. But unstoppable is just another word for self-destructive. Every tour drained him. Every comeback demanded a new level of perfection he struggled to reach. Every expectation became a weight on his chest. And by the time he agreed to the comeback tour, This Is It, he was a man running out of strength. Yet the machine needed him alive and performing more than it needed him healthy. The final years. Michael's final years were a maze of fear, exhaustion, and constant pressure. Financial problems resurfaced. Legal costs piled up. Neverland was gone. And everyone around him whispered the same thing. Michael needs a comeback. But Michael didn't need a comeback. Michael needed rest, healing, stability. Instead, he was pushed into the most demanding tour of his life. He barely slept. He used medication just to close his eyes. And the people around him watched, but didn't intervene. The final days. In his last days, Michael was a shadow of the man the world adored. He rehearsed through pain, fought through insomnia, collapsed from exhaustion, whispered fears no one took seriously. He was surrounded by people, but completely alone. And then, the night the world will never forget. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, died behind a bedroom door. Not surrounded by love, but by exhaustion, chemicals, and silence. The truth wasn't a mystery. It wasn't hidden. It was the final chapter of a life built on perfection, pain, and pressure. A life that demanded more than any one human could give. Because the same force that made him unstoppable is the force that ultimately consumed him. Legacy. Despite the darkness, Michael Jackson remains one of the most influential artists in history. New generations study his dance. Artists copy his style. Producers analyze his albums like sacred texts. And millions still feel the magic he left behind. His story is a masterpiece in light and shadow, a reminder that greatness always comes with a price. Michael Jackson didn't just change music, he changed culture, movement, fashion, emotion, human connection. And even in his absence, his impact continues to shake the world. This was Fame and Fortune, where legends rise, fall, and reveal the truths the world never sees. Subscribe, because the next story is even darker than this one.